All right, what's going on, guys? This is episode 812 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And once again, I refuse to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. I just don't want to talk about them. But I do want to talk about the Georgia Southern Eagles, where this team is actually on the rise and the Falcons are kind of like on a decline. And this is the most I will say about the Falcons right now. This upcoming, Monday night football game, not the one, the upcoming one. Yeah, basically. They're going to be facing their former quarterback, Desmond Ridder. And if they lose to that guy, the season's over, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Turnarounds could happen. But that will be the lowest of the low, right? Nevertheless, let's talk about these Georgia Southern Eagles. They're on the ascending trend. They're trending up. They're going to the New Orleans Bowl yet again. They went back in 2020 and they beat La Tech. They're going this time to play the Sam Houston Bearcats. And I want to do a little preview on this game. I want to give you a little bit of introduction to some of the players that are on this team and really just go in and let you know what we're going to be facing in that game. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to listen to the podcast on those avenues, that'd be absolutely awesome. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support, for everyone who's been listening to the show on those platforms. And I cannot thank you guys enough. Like I said, I really appreciate it. You can also follow me on X at VF Baller. Over there, I talk about things that don't make it to the show. And I talk about things on my gaming channel as well, the VF Cast channel. So, awesome time in the world of football when it comes to Georgia Southern. Let's get right into it. 2024 RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl, Georgia Southern versus Sam Houston. They're going to be playing on December 19th. And that's absolutely awesome that they're going to be playing on December 19th. And I think this team is going to have a pretty good chance to win this game because I'm looking at Sam Houston, and I'm not saying they're a bad team. I mean, they're 9-3 for a reason. Very, very successful team. But I'm looking at a lot of these stats, which really don't tell the tale because they're just numbers. But it kind of gives you somewhat of an insight of what these guys can do. And everybody on this team is like a middle of the road player. There's nobody that's really standing out. It's not nobody to really look out for. It looks like a well-balanced team. And this is something that, kind of mimics Georgia Southern. There's not that many, huge standouts. I mean, if you're a fan of the team, there's one or two guys out there that you love to see playing and love to put up numbers. But when you really look at these stats on both sides, it's not much to really point out and say, hey, this guy is going to be a standout against this team. They look like they're fairly evenly matched. So I want to talk more about the Bearcats first, and I'm going to jump back and see what the Eagles can do to combat, to combat any type of offense or whatever we can get against their defense. So it all going to start with Hunter Watson. That's their quarterback that's going to be playing for the Bearcats. He's only thrown for 1,500 yards, 1,598 to be exact, which, I'm not saying that it's, something that you have to really look out for or whatever. But, nowadays in college football, I guess because with Georgia Southern, the air raid style offense, you would expect to have more. Because on the other side, J.C. French, he has over 2,600 yards. So I saw it and I was like, that's kind of interesting that they don't have that many passing yards. The leading rusher is Jay Ducker, which is 719 yards for the season. They also have another rusher, which is their quarterback. He runs pretty well. He ran for 600 yards already this year, and he has 7 touchdowns as well as Jay Ducker as far as rushing. Passing wise, Hunter Watson only threw 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So this team doesn't look like the type of team that throws that much. But like I said, this is a team that, you just never know because I never watched them play. But I'm just looking at the numbers. But as of what I see, it's not much to really hang your hat on. Now, when you look at the receiving yards or the receivers in general, Simeon Evans is their leading receiver with 474 yards, 5 touchdowns, 43 receptions on the season, and their second leading receiver look like it is Noah Smith with 35 catches, 285 yards, 8 yards a catch, and he has let me see, where did I look at that at? He has no touchdowns on the season, which is actually interesting So Quavez Humphreys is the second leader in touchdown receptions with 4. He has 362 yards. Hold on, maybe I said that wrong. Y'all gonna have to let me back up a second. The leading receiver as far as receptions is Noah Hunter, but the leading yards is Quavez Humphreys with 362, and he has 4 touchdowns. So it's kind of like a little of an offset there. Like I said, it's not much to really hang your hat on here to see what they have. Don't know what to really, hone in on. Caleb Weaver is their leading tackler with 86 total tackles. 24 of them were assisted. So solo tackles was 62. Most interceptions also is from Caleb Weaver. That's their defensive back. So you kind of see what you got going on here when it comes to their defense. The defense, their leading tackler is the guy, Caleb Weaver, and they also have a linebacker, Kavion Gaither, 84 total tackles, 58 solo, 26 assisted. He also has an interception. And you got a couple other guys here that has caught interceptions throughout the season as well. But overall, once again, I don't see anything out here that stands out. That doesn't mean that this is a bad team, but this is a very middle of the road type of team when it comes to actual, points or stats. Now, but with that being said, you look at their schedule, they're 9-3. Let's look at the teams that they've beaten. They've beaten Rice. They've lost to UCF. They had a 4-game win streak when they will beat Hawaii, New Mexico State, Texas State by 1. They beat Texas State 40-39. They also beat UTEP. Then they lost a game, which was Western Kentucky. And, Western Kentucky is, Coach Clay Helton's brother's team. And then they went on a 3-game win streak, beating Florida International, Louisiana Tech, Kennesaw State in overtime, 23-17 in overtime. Then they lost to Jacksonville State, and then they end up beating Liberty 20-18. A lot of these games here that they're winning, they're kind of grinding it out a little bit. But you do have earlier in the season, 34-14 versus Rice. They beat Hawaii and New Mexico by 20. Then you had the UTEP game, they won by 20 as well. Then, then after that, it was like really, low scoring games. Florida International 10-7. You also had Louisiana Tech 9-3. The overtime game against Kennesaw State 23-17, and the win against Liberty is 20-18. So these guys are finding ways to win games in all type of facets, whether it be a semi blowout by 20 or if they're winning games by 1 point. So, like I said, you just don't know what to think when you're going to be playing against a team like this. You just don't know who you're going to hold on. If it was up to me, honestly, and I'm going to get into the Georgia Southern side of things, Georgia Southern just going to have to play ball just to bet the way they normally have to. Whoever they feel like the best player that's going to be the biggest threat, hone in on him, get to the quarterback, make sure they don't run the ball very well, and, stop the run. And on offense, you just need to find a way to move the ball. And I think this offense with Jalen White and Derwin Burgess, I think this offense should be able to move the ball against this team, because it looks like, from what I see here, I don't see much, here where the defense can stop this passing attack. A lot of things about Georgia Southern is the passing attack. Once you get that going, it's very hard for a team to stop. That's just the early assessment. But when you look at J.C. French, he threw for 26-19. Jalen White ran for 654 yards. And then you have Derwin Burgess, 603. The ball was spread around a lot this season. When you look at all these guys, you got 3 guys on this offense that have caught over 40 receptions, and you got 3 guys over 500 yards receiving. So the ball's been spread around a lot. 2 of those guys have over 50 receptions. So there's a lot going on here to where it's going to be pretty difficult for anybody to actually, keep up with this offense. And like I said, on top of that, you still got Jalen White and O.J. Arnold. And, even David Badinga, he can run the ball very well. So it's a lot here. My early assessment, even though I haven't really watched Sam Houston play, I think Georgia Southern, they have a lot of talent on this side, on the offensive side of the ball, that could probably overwhelm what Houston or Sam Houston can do. Because don't get me wrong, I think Sam Houston is a very solid team. I mean, you don't go 9-3 for nothing. But when you start looking at the receivers that we got, the running backs that we have, it's just going to be really difficult to see, like, okay, Are these guys going to be able to stop what we can bring to the table? If anything, it look like we'll probably just stop ourselves, shoot ourselves in the foot. If anything was to happen on that end, no turnovers. You know how that goes. It's always uh, that's always the big thing about any game. You never want to have any turnovers. But when you just look at everybody that's here, it's going to be really tough for any offense or any defense to slow down what Georgia Southern can do. I mean, we can move the ball very well, and that doesn't take anything away from Sam Houston. But I don't know their style of play. I haven't watched them play fully. I've seen a few plays here and there, but when I look at what they have, they're like to have a very balanced team, but nothing really, like stands out. Like I said, their receivers not bad, but it looks like their receivers don't put stand out to what we can put to the table. The running backs, yeah, you got two running backs, and one I didn't even talk about was DJ McKinney, was a running back that, he's averaging 5 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. So the main thing is our front seven just have to stop what they're trying to do up front. And in my opinion, try to force them to pass the ball, because it looks like that may be their Achilles heel. Once again, Hunter Watson has 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. That may be something you may want them to get them into, where they have to run the ball. Where they have to pass the ball. So we're going to get into more of this later on down in the week. Like I said, the game is 10 days from now, so we got plenty of time. So I'm going to be looking more of Sam Houston's style of play, and then I'll bring back some more of my insight or any of my thoughts and opinions on it. But as of right now, I just don't see it where you got 3, 4, maybe 5 receivers plus a tight end. And, I'm talking about a couple of running backs out the backfield as receivers. I don't see that they have the defense that can stop all of that going on. So if we could keep J.C. French upright, it could be a totally different story. So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I know this is a very early preview. I don't know much here, but we really will get into this later down the week, because we're going to talk more about this team. Didn't see much here so far. So if you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about Sam Houston? I mean, look, they went 9-3, so they can do something here. That's the thing that really stands out to me at the end of the day. Like, this team looked like they could put up points against anybody, and they can ground it out with the best of them as well. So I'm kind of, curious of how this team actually plays. Looking at the schedule, I'm not sure if they've seen an opponent as talented as Georgia Southern, but hey, you just never know when you get to these teams. You just never know. Let me know what you guys think. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow me on X at VFBaller. And we can just talk about, things over there that don't make it to the show. And we'll definitely get back on to Georgia Southern once I look more into the Sam Houston Bearcats. As far as the Falcons go, I'll be making videos about them later on in the week. Good God. I mean, come on, Kirk Cousins. What are we doing here? Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.